Part 70. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Mu. Chapter 694. Looking at Essex in front of him, Qin Ji smiled and said, "Long time no see, Essex." "Long time no see, Commander Qin Ji," Essex immediately said seriously. On the way here with Ticonderoga and Baltimore, she learned about what happened recently in Qin Ji's fleet. And after entering the fleet, the vague aura in the command ship next to her also shocked her. York City told her before that the Qin Ji fleet was said to have more than 60 awakened ship girls, but she didn't quite believe it at the time. But at this moment, the lingering breath told her that this was a real thing. So when facing Qin Ji, she could no longer regard Qin Ji as the ordinary commander before, but treated him as the leader of a camp. Looking at the serious Essex in front of him, Qin Ji smiled and said, "Don't be so formal. After all, we have been cooperating for such a long time, and we fought side by side in the naval battle in Zhenhua City before. Relax a little." Essex twitched her lips, but she still didn't laugh. After all, she was a very serious person. Time flies so fast. When I left Donghuang before, I already knew that the commander of the line had a very serious character, a bright future, but I didn't expect that Commander Qin Ji's fleet would already have such strength after not seeing each other for a few months. Qin Ji smiled and said, "This is the result of everyone's hard work, and it is not the result of me alone. But we will talk about these things later. First, give us a brief introduction to Bai Yi's current situation. If you know the royal family and Tai Shui, the situation is the best on the edge." Essex nodded and his expression became serious. "White Eagle's current situation is very bad, and the Royal, Iron Blood, Northern United, Sardinian Empire, Free Iris, and Vichy Holy See are all the same. There are even some camps more difficult than Beijing's situation. Although the Siren tide did not come too suddenly this time, its strength has changed drastically compared to before. Especially those mass-produced siren fleets shrouded in black mist. For ordinary commanders, it is an immortal existence. Without knowing how to face the enemy correctly, we faced a huge rout as soon as we met the siren fleet. The commander's lineup suffered heavy casualties, and we even abandoned important front-line bases such as Hawaii and the Panama Canal. Because we simply cannot defend this place with our current strength and capabilities, the headquarters ordered us all to return to the coast and conduct a defensive counterattack. But even after they mastered how to deal with the enemy, due to the large difference in numbers, the commander and the general free ship girls were consuming huge amounts every day. We really couldn't afford to delay until the front, so the leaders of several major camps proposed that instead of retreating and defending like this, we would die slowly. It would be better to assemble elite combat forces and take the initiative to attack. Maybe there is still a chance of survival." Qin Ji nodded when he heard this, and Ruhi on the side said to Essex, "It seems that your Beijing situation is similar to ours and Donghuang's. The same is true for us. Without Commander Qin Ji's rescue, we can only be trapped and die on the island. Okay, I have a detailed understanding of your situation. The main thing now is to reach your White Eagle quickly. Then we will find an implementable plan," Qin Ji said. "Before that, you will temporarily contact Ticonderoga, add them together. It turns out that your relationship is better." "Well, thank you, Commander Qin Ji." After a brief meeting, Ticonderoga and the others took Essex back to their command ship, and the fleet started again. Meeting Essex is an established fact for the Qin Ji fleet, and it can be regarded as confirming Bai Ying's intention to cooperate. In fact, sending Essex over showed White Eagle's compromise on the one hand, and letting Essex use the Sea Soul camouflage on the other hand also showed that White Eagle didn't want to give in too much. These thoughts gradually became clear under the analysis of Tiancheng and Zhenhai. Qin Ji just smiled at this result. As long as Bai Ying didn't hinder his rescue operation, he didn't care how much say he had in the future. After all, The Siren Tide is a matter for all camps, not just White Eagle, and not just Shinji and his fleet. And no one can tell what will happen in the future. After all, the world is already facing such a big change. Who can tell the future direction of this world? As his fleet continues to grow stronger, with absolute strength, these camps can only choose to compromise. After crossing the Panama Canal, Shinji's fleet finally entered the Atlantic Ocean. Although it was the first time to come to the Atlantic Ocean, it did not hinder the fleet's normal operations. Because there are already several Siren fleets on the road that have tested their ability to respond in the Atlantic Ocean. Essex naturally did not participate in such a battle, but she clearly saw on the command ship that with the exquisite cooperation of the ship girls, only a small team of a few people was dispatched to completely destroy a Siren fleet. The destruction made her full of confidence in Shinji's fleet. There are not many Siren Tide offensives here in the Caribbean, but for the sake of speed, Shinji's fleet entered the Gulf of Mexico along the near coastline. Then he bypassed Florida and headed north to New York. Although they saw several cities being attacked by Sirens on the way, Shinji's fleet still avoided them. The main purpose this time is to fundamentally solve this situation, not to resist these Siren Tides for White Eagle. So it is impossible to pick up sesame seeds and lose the watermelon. However, something happened when approaching New York. Helena and Fei Long on the command ship asked Shinji to leave, which made Shinji a little confused. "Why are you leaving when we are almost at White Eagle?" Facing Shinji's question, Helena smiled and explained, "There are 2 arbiters in the sea area, and it is very likely that Steelenkuz, who was defeated before, has also come to the sea area. So we have to be prepared for the possibility of facing 3 arbiters, but our current position is not enough to face 3 arbiters, so we have to find reinforcements. I remember I should have told you before that there should be embers in this ocean that came to this world just like us. What we are leaving now is to find them, and we want to find out the exact identity of these 3 arbiters. Don't worry, we'll be back before you meet the arbiter." Shinji nodded, "I understand, then you must pay attention to safety. We will meet at the Siren stronghold in the Atlantic Ocean when the time comes." "Haha, definitely." Helena left a laugh, and then quickly disappeared above the sea with the flying dragon and Nizana. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Hwangming Muji. Chapter 695. The sound of artillery shells lingered in my ears, and the roar of carrier-based aircraft never stopped. As the leader of White Eagle, Enterprise has not had a good night's sleep for nearly a month. Every day's battle reports from the front line made her heart sink more and more, and the expectations she had before were now gone. Before the Siren Tide began, Shinji once told her that the possible Siren Tide offensive this time would be more powerful than before, and that timely defense and other precautions should be taken. Although her sister also agrees with Shinji's analysis, as an equal and free camp, Beijing cannot be decided by one person in the company. Especially a decision as big as the camp decision cannot be made in one statement. So in the high-level meeting, this resolution was made by voting. However, it seems that the name Shinji is disliked by most of the senior officials in White Eagle. After all, he took away the glory that should belong to them in Chongqing, so most people are somewhat dismissive of his suggestions. The results of the final vote were also very obvious. The vast majority of the votes agreed to follow the previous defense strategy, and only a handful of people were willing to implement Shinji's suggestions. Therefore, we missed the best time to deploy our defense. When we defended according to the original strategy, we encountered the Siren Tide and were beaten to the point where we could not find our way. The subsequent tactical arrangements and defense strategies were completely ineffective. In order to reverse the defeat, even the company itself went to the battlefield many times, but one person's power is always limited. Although it can play a positive role in promoting the battlefield, it does not play a positive role in promoting the battlefield. Does not play a decisive role. But now that Beiying has reached the most critical moment, he is powerless to do anything. He can only choose to fight with the other major camps like a dog jumping over the wall. If her sister York City hadn't brought the news that Qin Ji was coming to help, she might have headed to the sea area of the Siren stronghold with the determination to die. Just as the company's thoughts were swirling, the office door was opened, and a familiar figure appeared in front of her. Enterprise, they have arrived. York City looked at the haggard Enterprise beside the desk and said with some distress. Enterprise stood up in surprise. Is it so fast? I thought it would take another 2 days. Commander Qin Ji is a master of tactics, so soldiers are valuable and quick. This principle is especially obvious in his execution, York City said. So where are they now? Enterprise asked. Essex brought them to the conference room of the temporary command headquarters. I didn't let anyone disturb them for the time being. After all, their reception level was not high enough. In addition to Commander Qin Ji's fleet, this time there are also reinforcements from Chongying and Donghuang, so this involves 2 camps. No, this is a high-level meeting between the 3 camps, and you should personally come forward," said Yorktown. "Well, I understand, and others are helping us, and we are the ones being rescued. If this level has to be staged, then it would be 2. The company did not continue, but York City on the opposite side understood her. The meaning of, "You are not wrong, it's just that some people at the top of this camp are wrong. This time it can be clearly seen that when making emergency decisions, we must have the power to make decisions. Otherwise, if everything is based on voting, it is likely to lead to wrong judgments. And you see, after something like this happened, those people hid faster than rabbits, and in the end it was not us and the commanders who were in front," York City said angrily. "Sister." Enterprise looked at York City and couldn't help but smile. "This is all the bitter fruit caused by ourselves. If it weren't for this siren tide, it might be exposed in the next siren tide, so this is what we must go through. It's good to be like this now. At least the situation can be restored to this point. Let's go and meet Commander Qin Ji together. I've heard his name many times, and we've had video conferences together, but we haven't seen him in person. Don't worry, I won't let you down," York City said with a smile. The two looked at each other and smiled, and quickly left the office and walked towards the war conference room. In the combat conference room at this time, Qin Ji was drinking the tea that Beiying Heyman made for him, waiting for the arrival of Beiying senior officials with his shipgirl and representatives of Chongying and Donghuang. On the side, Heyman stood next to Essex, looking at Qin Ji and the shipgirls next to him with some curiosity. Essex, Heyman whispered, "Why does that shipgirl look like a white eagle? I have never seen one before." Essex followed Heyman's eyes, and then explained to Heyman in a low voice, "That is indeed our White Eagle's shipgirl, and she is our White Eagle's new battleship, New Jersey." "New Jersey? Is it the biggest and most powerful Black Dragon?" Heyman asked in surprise. "Yes, I heard from Ticonderoga that like Shinano and Frederick the Great, she is a legendary shipgirl at sea," Essex said. "Ah, it's so awesome, but it's a pity that it's not with our White Eagle," Heyman said with some regret. Faced with Heyman's words, Essex could only smile helplessly at the corner of his mouth. She also hopes that such a fleet can appear in White Eagle, but this is just a hope. In reality, it is impossible. At this time, there was a knock on the door of the conference room, and several figures walked in. Qin Ji took a closer look and saw that in addition to the familiar York City, there were also some familiar yet unfamiliar ship girls. With their ship uniforms, Qin Ji could identify Enterprise, Washington, Saratoga, and others. Seeing Bai Ying's arrival, Qin Ji naturally stood up. After all, if he was still sitting, it would be rude to Bai Ying. Leaving his seat and walking up to the Enterprise, Qin Ji and the Enterprise immediately stood face to face. Looking at the somewhat haggard Enterprise in front of him, Qin Ji stretched out his palm and said, although we have met many times in video conferences before, this time this is the first time face to face. Hello, business. Hello, Commander Qin Ji, Ninghai, Ruhi. On behalf of all the White Eagles, I would like to express my gratitude for your coming. Enterprise held Qin Ji's palm and said. Having been a leader for so many years, the company naturally has her vision. When they met and greeted each other, the representatives of Donghuang and Chongying were obviously following Qin Ji. So it is confirmed that this time the support will be mainly based on him, then the company will naturally put Qin Ji at the forefront, not Chongying or Donghuang. The matter is urgent, so we won't say those polite words. I heard York City say before that you are planning to join forces with other camps to launch a counter-attack in the sea area of the Siren stronghold. Why don't you introduce your plan to us first? After putting down his hand, Qin Ji said no more polite words, but asked straight to the point. Enterprise nodded, okay, let's sit down and talk. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 696. After everyone sat down, Enterprise said to Qin Ji, actually, our discovery of the sea area of the Siren stronghold was also a very unexpected situation, and this situation has to start with the Sardinian Empire. The Sardinian Empire has an advanced outpost in the Atlantic Ocean, and the name of that outpost is La Maddalena, which is located at this location in the Atlantic Ocean. As the company spoke, he clicked on the chart on the conference table and marked the location of La Maddalena for Qin Ji. Is this location located in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean? Qin Ji said, slightly surprised. Yes, compared to the Pacific Ocean, the scope of the Atlantic Ocean is still relatively small for us, so the measures we usually take may be more radical than those of Donghuang and Chongying. They are constantly sending awakening ship girls to explore deeper waters, and when exploring, there must be a forward supply station. La Maddalena is the forward supply station outpost of the Sardinian Empire. The company explained. Qin Ji nodded, I understand. When the Siren tide broke out, we actually had a premonition and had already withdrawn people from the forward post. However, the response from the Sardinian Empire may have been slower, and they did not withdraw from there until the Sirens broke out, so along the way, they discovered a Siren stronghold in the depths of the Atlantic Ocean. Countless Siren fleets sailed out from those strongholds and continuously launched attacks on surrounding camps. But at that time, we all had to resist the invasion of the Sirens and had no time to do anything else, so we shelved this message. However, after nearly a month of defense, our various camps suffered heavy losses and had to shrink their troops, abandon some relatively minor cities, and move the humans there to inland areas. Moreover, the Siren tide in the past only lasted about half a month, but this time it has lasted for a month and shows no signs of stopping. We have made a statistic. If we continue to defend passively like this, we can only defend for about 2 months at most before the entire line collapses and we will lose sea power. So we put this information on the table again. Instead of passively dying out like this, we should concentrate our elite forces to break through and restore calm to the camp. Enterprise explained to Qin Ji. Qin Ji nodded, your method is indeed a good method. Destroying the Siren stronghold can indeed stop these Siren fleets and fundamentally solve this Siren tide. The reason why Donghuang and Chongying are able to break through now is because we destroyed the Siren stronghold near the sea. However, this is based on the fact that there is no arbiter in the sea area of the Siren stronghold. Arbiter, Enterprise, Washington, and Saratoga looked at each other. Washington said, Commander Qin Ji, I heard York City mention the arbiter before, but she also heard it from your company, so what exactly is an arbiter? A senior Siren similar to a tester humanoid command unit. Qin shook his head. No, as far as I know so far, the Sirens are actually divided into at least two organizations. One organization is called the Experimental Organization, which contains the testers, purifiers, and other Sirens we saw before. Advanced humanoid command unit that can unleash elite unit enforcers. Their responsibility is to be responsible for experiments in this world, including but not limited to Mirror C experiments, Siren Tidal experiments, etc. The Arbiters are combat units affiliated with the Sirens. Their main purpose is to monitor and hinder Ember's actions, and protect the experimental sites of the experimental institutions so that experiments can be carried out smoothly. They are the real combatants in the Sirens and can release elite unit agents. There are currently estimated to be 22 in total. The composition of the name codes is determined by the Major Arcana card. There are currently 3 people appearing in this world, namely Strinkus who represents strength, Hermite who represents the Hermit, and Tempalis who represents temperance. Each one has the power to destroy the world. To put it bluntly, even if we concentrate all our power, we may not be able to defeat an Arbiter. Not only the company, but also the reigning White Eagle ship girl all opened their mouths. Washington said with extreme disbelief, "Commander Qin, are you kidding me? We have been fighting the Sirens for so long, but we only fought the experimenters with no return? And the Sirens combat units can destroy the world. Even if all the ship girls in the world combined are unable to effectively attack them." Qin nodded, then looked at New Jersey aside. "New Jersey, please show the video of our previous battle with the Arbiter to everyone in White Eagle." New Jersey nodded, "No problem, Commander." After New Jersey finished speaking, he reached out and touched the input port of the projector in the conference room, and an image was illuminated on the white wall. And this image is exactly the image from the previous battle between Qin fleet and Steelenku's, and of course it also includes the appearance of the flying dragon. As the video played, the disbelieving expressions of everyone in White Eagle gradually faded away, replaced by shock. Especially when he saw the flying dragon appearing and engaging in close combat with Steelenku's, he was even more shocked. When the video was played, everyone in Beijing still didn't react for a long time. Looking at this scene, Qin smiled and said, "So now you understand what kind of enemy we are going to face." Although not all members of our fleet were on board at that time, with the help of several people from Donghuang, the number of awakened ship girls in our fleet was definitely over 20. But even if such a fleet faced the Arbiter, it would be impossible to cause much harm to her. Do you think your combined fleet can deal a blow to the Arbiter? Let me tell you, there are at least 2 or more Arbiters in that sea area, and the strength of the Arbiters is not that 1 + 1 = 2, but that 1 + 1 is far greater than 2. This. Everyone in Beijing fell silent. The images Qin brought and his words were like a basin of cold water poured on their heads, making them realize this cold and cruel reality. "Commander Qin, we admit that our plan is lacking, but I would like to ask, who is the black-robed ship girl who appeared behind the image just now?" the company asked Qin. "After all, that person and Strenku's battle has the upper hand, and companies have to pay attention. Flying dragons, but they are not flying dragons from this world, but flying dragons from another world. They belong to an organization called Ember, and this flying dragon is the prototype ship of all flying dragons," Qin replied. "Prototype ship? Ember? What does this mean?" More and more new terms made everyone in Beijing freeze in place. They suddenly found that the world had become a little unfamiliar. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 697. After finally telling the company and others about the knowledge of Ember and the prototype ship, a little confusion can be seen in their eyes. "So, we are actually no different from those fallen ship girls?" Saratoga asked in disbelief. Qin smiled and said, "That's not true. There is a big difference between you and those people. Although they were also created by Siren, they have no mind and are equivalent to ordinary executors. But you are different. You have the opportunity to break through the forgery, and this opportunity is awakening. For them, awakening is just an opportunity to break through the counterfeit, but for us, awakening represents greater growth. So you have now gotten rid of those fakes, and in their words, you have now become a real ship. Have we just become a real ship like this now? Then why are their strength so terrifying? The company asked doubtfully. Qin hesitated and said, actually, I didn't get any information about this, but it is certain that it is related to the real awakening, and it is the awakening of the real meme, becoming a prototype ship similar to the Flying Dragon. You also know that the ship girls in our world are all summoned from the Mind Cube. Although the energy of the Mind Cube is very strange, after all, for the ship girls, it is more important to form themselves. Similar to the Flying Dragon, the innate energy of a battleship transformed directly into a ship girl through a Rubik's Cube is stronger than that of a ship girl summoned by a mental Rubik's Cube. Therefore, it is foreseeable that such a similar awakening will consume a lot of materials and energy, but it is not very difficult. The current world has changed and everything is possible. I generally understand. Enterprise nodded, looked at Qin with some admiration and said, Commander Qin has been able to collect so much information in such a short period of time when the world has changed. It is really amazing. And as far as I know, Commander Qin should be in his 5th year as a commander, right? He has already led such an outstanding fleet and has the demeanor of a camp leader. To be able to emerge as a game breaker in such a dangerous situation is truly the luckiest thing in the world and the luckiest thing for mankind. Qin smiled and waved his hand. Actually, I have no intention of being a camp leader, nor do I intend to become the 10th camp in your imagination. If possible, I would rather spend more time with my ship girl. It can only be said that the war has not stopped, and the commander's responsibility cannot be let go. So this time I am willing to serve as a game breaker to fulfill my responsibilities and vows. After this war is over, maybe I will return to Guam and be a commander who doesn't care about the world. Enterprise smiled, perhaps because of what we did before, Commander Qin may have some bad feelings towards our other major camps. But that was somewhat unavoidable. Although we were very much looking forward to the sudden appearance of such an outstanding commander, we still had a lot of doubts. What to do if you are sent by the Sirens, what to do if your Xinxing is inflated, these are all uncontrollable factors, so we made the decision to send envoys to your port area. It may be a little late to say this now, but I want to say one thing: when your strength reaches a certain level, you will never go back to your original simple wishes. I know you didn't intend to become the 10th camp, but the fact is that you have become the 10th camp now. Qin spread his hands and said, well, it doesn't matter how you look at it. Anyway, the oath I swore under the Azalane flag will not change. We also believe that if it weren't for this, there would be no conversation today, York City said with a smile. If it weren't for the fact that I still have 2 sisters in Beijing who I can't let go of, maybe he is planning to join Commander Qin fleet. Therefore, I have to admit that Akagi and Kaga looked really far ahead at the beginning and were willing to give up their positions as camp leaders to join your fleet. Perhaps their path will be much longer than ours in the future. Qin couldn't help but smile when he heard this. Perhaps all this is destined by fate. Well, although it's not good to interrupt you now, it may be too late, Washington interjected. Commander Qin, as you said, if there are 2 arbiters in the Atlantic Ocean, how can we break through the current situation? This situation? Do you have any plans here? When Washington said this, everyone couldn't help but look at Qin. Qin nodded. There must be a plan for this matter. If there was no plan, I would not come to Beijing. What I have said to you before is to give you a basic understanding of the current situation. Regarding how to break this situation, I would like to ask a question. Can you contact the leaders of the other major camps now? Saratoga nodded, yes, although the signal in the sea area here has been interfered to a certain extent, at the command headquarters, we have dedicated lines to contact several other camps to ensure communication at any time. Qin nodded, that's good. Next, we will implement the plan you planned before, which is to enter the depths of the Atlantic Ocean and destroy those siren strongholds. But the difference is that it is best to let the elites of those camps gather in an area to join us. Because the Atlantic Ocean is still very large, if it is dispersed, there is a risk of being defeated by the enemy one by one. Together, even the arbiter we met is capable of fighting. Moreover, the current signals in the Atlantic Ocean have been interfered with. If they are gathered together, they can coordinate the command and control without dispersing the force. That's fine. We have made such a plan before, so we are just informing them now. Enterprise nodded, but I have a question for Commander Qin. What should the two arbiters do? Qin said, you don't need to worry about these two arbiters, someone will deal with them. So you are talking about Ember, the flying dragon just now, Washington said excitedly, is she still in your fleet? Qin shook his head, the flying dragon is not in my fleet for the time being, and she is not the only one, including Helena who came from another world, and Nizana, a total of 3 people. They temporarily left our fleet when they came to White Eagle, because as I just told you, the sum of the number of arbiters is definitely not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. So they took advantage of this period of time to find the embers in the Atlantic Ocean who came to this world like them. Only in this way can we have a chance to win this war. I see. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Mu. Chapter 698. Is this the decision? I thought Bai Ying would delay for a few days to fight for command rights or something. Ruhi walked beside Qin and said with a smile. Qin couldn't help but shrugged, you saw the situation here when you came here. They are consuming every moment, so they have to race against time. And if it wasn't because of our arrival, they would probably start executing this plan a few days ago. Now that they know so much and can be sure that this battle will be won with a high probability, they will be more active. After all, how can the survival of the camp be important when it comes to command rights? That's right. Ruhi nodded, and then asked expectantly, Commander Qin, do you think we will win this time? Qin smiled, looked up at the war-torn sea in the distance, and his expression gradually became serious. This time it is about our world, so we can only succeed, and we can only succeed for our existence, for this world. Yes, we can only succeed. If we fail, everything will be lost, Ruhi said with emotion. So, let's take advantage of this period to replenish supplies. White Eagle has just opened the logistics warehouse for us. Oil, supplies, ship equipment, etc. can all be replenished here. So don't be polite, because there is no room for sloppiness in the upcoming battle. Qin said. I got it. I'm going to notify our people to come over for supplies. I'll see you on the command ship then. After Ruhi said that, he waved to Qin and walked to the other side with a smile. Commander Qin, let's go for supplies, Ning Hai said with a smile. By the way, I can borrow Bai Ying's kitchen to cook some food for everyone. Only when we are full can we win the battle. Haha, thank you Ning Hai. Qin waved to Ning Hai and watched Ning Hai walk towards the direction Ruhi just walked over. Commander, then you go back to the command ship to rest first, and we will go over to provide supplies, New Jersey said to Qin. Well, I'll trouble you. When the supplies are complete, wait on the command ship. When Beijing is ready, we will set off immediately, Qin said. Clear. Watching New Jersey leave, Qin looked at Belfast behind him with a smile. Ha, there are only 2 of us left now, let's go back to the command ship together. Yes, Master. Belfast smiled. When we arrive at White Eagle, we are not far from the royal family. When the battle is over, if we have time, we can go to the royal family together to see where you were born and where you fought before. Qin Ji said as he walked. Those are things in my memory, and for me, the place where I was born was in front of my master, and the opponent I fought with was accompanied by my master. But if the owner wants to take a look, Belfast is happy to accompany him. Belfast smiled. Haha, even if I say this, you can always have a different feeling when you revisit your old place. And most of the ship girls in our fleet are from here. It's not easy to come here, and then we can go around together. Qin Song smiled. I believe that the master's plan will be approved by many people, and I prefer going out with you alone more than going out with everyone, Belfast said with a smile. Well, it's definitely impossible to go out alone. After all, if there are so many people, even if we stay with each person for one day, we will have to stay with him until the middle of next year. Qin Ji couldn't help but said speechlessly. That's right. It's not easy for Master now either, Belfast chuckled. Anyway, I will have plenty of time when I return to Guam. Then I can go out alone with each of you every day, Qin Ji said with a smile. I'm afraid that after the Master returns to Guam after the battle, he will become busy, Belfast said with a smile. Qin Ji shook his head. No, I might have managed a little more before, but after this battle, everyone has grown up, so there is no need to worry about everything. Moreover, there are Li Chenming and others in Guam. Although their strength was lacking before, they can now take on major responsibilities. In the future, people will be responsible for managing the affairs of the base, so I will have more and more time in the future, so that I can shift my focus to you, instead of just focusing on things like combat. If that's the case, that would be great. I believe everyone in the port area must also be looking forward to such a moment, Belfast chuckled. Haha, having said so much, it's just what happened after the war. I hope everything goes well this time, Qin Ji said with a smile. No matter what, Belfast will always be by his master's side. Yeah, me too. After chatting with Belfast all the way, the two returned to the command ship together. Bai Ying also arranged a place for Qin Ji to rest before, but in order to be able to leave at any time, Qin Ji still refused. For him, the place on the command ship is spacious enough and he can have a very good rest environment, and he is used to it after being on the ship for such a long time. After returning to the ship, under Belfast's preparations, I drank tea with Guanghui and the others for a while, and then the message from White Eagle came. The White Eagle elite fleet has been prepared and can set off at any time. Looking at the company in front of him, Qin Ji nodded. Have you contacted other camps? That's right, other camps have been notified and we will meet together in Madalena, Enterprise said to Qin Ji. Madalena, Qin Ji touched his chin. It's very close to the sea area of the Siren stronghold. Aren't you afraid of an accident? There is no other better place to meet now. Originally we planned to use the Royal Island of Ireland, but the island of Ireland is too far away from us. If we enter the Siren Sea from there, the delay on the road will be even longer. Therefore, we chose Madalena so that all major camps can arrive in a relatively short time. The company said. Qin Ji nodded. Then follow your plan. By the way, tell the other camps that if you encounter any unexpected situation, retreat immediately without hesitation. I understand the company naturally knew what Qin Ji was worried about. I will inform them next, so let's start now. Qin Ji nodded. Well, let's go. Madalena is still quite far away from our location. If we leave earlier, we can get there at about the same time as them. Okay, then I will go back to the command ship. If anything happens, we will contact you through the communicator, Enterprise said to Qin Ji. Understood. Qin Ji nodded, and after shaking hands with Enterprise, he watched Enterprise leave the command ship. Commander, what about us now? Guanghui asked from the side. Qin Ji nodded, turned to look at the sea surface. Let's go. Yes. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 699. The Maddalena Islands, in Qin world, have always been the military base of the Italian Navy. And in this world, there seems to be no exception. As the company said before, the Sardinian Empire has an outpost in La Maddalena, which is equivalent to the territory of the Sardinian Empire. It was already the fourth day when Qin and others rushed all the way to the Maddalena Islands. The reason it took so long was to get rid of all the siren fleets that had been at sea before. In the process, White Eagle's elite also saw the combat effectiveness of Qin fleet. The coordinated cooperation and powerful firepower shocked them. Although such a battle had been seen in the video shown in New Jersey before, the opponent was Arbiter Strankus, so it was not shown, but now it is very obvious. What they saw made them feel reassured and also had an unreal feeling. After all, in their eyes, Qin had only been a commander for 4 years, and it was really hard to integrate the fleet into such a powerful force. Somewhat incredible. But the matter was placed in front of them, and they had to believe that it was true. And when they arrived at the Maddalena Islands, they found that elite troops from several other camps had also arrived. Except for the Royal Elizabeth, who needed to be in charge of the royal family, so she sent King George V. The leaders of the other camps had arrived. Already arrived. The place where everyone gathered was at the temporary outpost of the Sardinian Empire in La Maddalena. Perhaps because there was no one here, the Siren fleet did not come. They attacked here, but found some traces of bombing at the beachhead. Looking at the ships parked outside, I believe they have arrived. But I don't know how many elites they each removed from the camp, but I believe there won't be many. Qin and Enterprise walked towards the outpost, while saying, "Yes, it is very difficult to recruit people from the major camps now. After all, the awakened ship girls were the top leaders of each camp before, and each of them was responsible for this position. Now that the all-out war is going on, we can't. What can you ask for too much?" the company said. Qin smiled and said, "The fact that they are here shows that they have attached great importance to this plan. I am not forcing too much. We are gathered here just to let them witness with us that the world has changed. In the past, the period of separate affairs is over. From now on, cooperation between the 9 major camps is the foundation for our continued success." Enterprise nodded. After the Siren Tide this time, the number of commanders in our major camps has been greatly reduced. If we want to restore our previous strength, we have to recuperate for a long time, so we are preparing to adopt an offshore defense strategy. But we cannot give up on the ocean-going part, so we may have to restart our previous strategy. The commander is mainly responsible for guarding the offshore defense line, while the awakening ship girl is responsible for deep-sea exploration and attack. Well, Wei Chongying and Dong Huang also have this plan, and we discussed with Commander Qin on the way to use Guam where he is located as a front-line base for the offensive. As long as anything happens in the Pacific, we will start from Guam, Rui Crane said to the Enterprise. Is that so? The company thought for a while. Then if we can, we will also restart Hawaii. This way, when something happens in the Pacific, our elite fleet can arrive quickly through the Panama Canal. This is the best, Qin said to the company. I heard some information from Helena, which is another world. In the future, the Siren will most likely put its main attack direction in the Pacific Ocean. If that is true, then we can help each other and attack together, so the effect will be much better. Then we can mention this proposal when we hold a combat meeting later. I believe they will also support it. We can also set up several public ports here in the Atlantic Ocean. If there are difficulties here in the Atlantic Ocean, we can have them just like today. A place to gather and resupply. Enterprise agrees. Good. Qin readily agreed to this proposal. After this war, it is not surprising that other things changed the naval strategy from ocean attack to offshore defense. But blindly guarding is not the best way. Only by monitoring the trends in several places at all times can we guarantee this. When the siren makes any movements, each camp can learn about it immediately. This is also the result that Qin Ji said he is happy to see. The 9 major camps can put aside their past grievances, fight against the enemy together, and carry out efficient and decisive battles. While several people were discussing, they were getting closer and closer to the gate of the outpost. Their arrival was also discovered at the outpost. When they walked to the gate, they saw several camp leaders already waiting here. Long time no see. We also have Ninghai and Ruhi in the company. The royal King George V first came up to say hello to everyone, and then looked at Qin Ji beside him. I guess this is what my little sister often said. Commander Qin Ji, he is really a young hero. It is better to meet him than to be famous. The younger sister of King George V that Qin Ji knew was Hao, and the two had a relatively good relationship with each other when they were in Donghuang. King George V has given me the award. She also mentioned you many times when I was with Hao before. I have always wanted to meet, but I didn't have time, and I didn't expect that our first meeting would be in such an environment. Qin Song smiled. It doesn't matter. After all, we are soldiers, and it is normal to meet on the battlefield. King George V smiled boldly, looked at the figure similar to her behind Qin Ji, and couldn't help but smile. What's more, you don't already have your own King George V. Qin Ji smiled and shook his head. Although the memories between ship girls are the same, their experiences after appearing are different. Therefore, each ship girl is unique. I will never be just because of 2 ship girls the mother's name or appearance are the same to judge that they are the same person. Well said, I appreciate you more and more now, King George V said with a smile. Let me introduce you to you next. As King George V said this, he turned around and began to introduce the leaders in power to Qin Ji. Although they all have the same name, perhaps because of their personal experiences, each leader is different from Qin Ji's ship girl. In addition to being very similar in terms of ship decoration, the appearance gives people a completely different feeling. After everyone said hello, they came to the combat conference room of the outpost under the leadership of Veneto, the leader of the Sardinian Empire, and began this combat conference involving the entire Atlantic Ocean. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 700. The combat conference room at the outpost is not large, so basically the leader of each camp enters the conference room, while others wait outside. However, because of Qin Ji's special reasons, Belfast has been following Qin Ji. Since everyone is here now, let's start our meeting. Bismarck glanced at the 9 people present and said. Well, then the company, can you tell us why the previous plan was stopped and suddenly restarted this time? You must know that the situation in our camp is much worse than before. Now we have mobilized so many elites. It's just. King George V asked the company. You have also seen that the arrival of assistance from Commander Qin Ji, Donghuang, and Chongying can greatly enhance our strength, which makes our plan more likely. In addition, what is more important is that Chongying and Donghuang have now eliminated the impact of the Siren Tide. The two prove that peace has returned to peace, so this result is worth learning from. Also, Commander Qin Ji has brought some information that we have never found before, which can make our operation more convenient this time. Facing the question of King George V, the company replied. Qin Ji was puzzled when he heard this. He looked at the Enterprise in confusion and said, so you didn't tell the other major camps what we talked about in White Eagle before? Qin Ji's words stunned the leaders of the other major camps, and then they all looked at the company. I saw the Enterprise nodded. You also know that the signal is interfered and can only transmit simple communications. It is impossible for me to inform you of the results of the meeting between Commander Qin Ji, so I think you can understand, which is why. the original intention of holding this meeting here. The leaders of the other camps nodded, obviously they all knew the reason. The Soviet Union looked at the company and said, "Now let's talk about the results of your meeting." "No problem," the company nodded, and now under the watchful eyes of several leaders who had not participated in the meeting, they told everything they had learned from their previous meeting with Qin Ji, including the reasons why Dong Huang and Chongying escaped from trouble, the arbitration institution located deep in the Atlantic Ocean, and the embers from other worlds. "Is this really our world?" Veneto looked in disbelief. "Of course these are true, otherwise we wouldn't have traveled so far to come to the rescue," Qin Ji said to everyone. Commander Qin Ji is indeed right. After he eliminated the Siren stronghold along the coast of Donghuang, the tide of Siren in Donghuang did stop, and this also allows us to come to support you, Ninghai said to everyone. The situation with Chongying is the same. Although we have never met the real arbiter, the people like Ember have been with us for a relatively long time. We have a clear judgment on their strength, Ruhi said. We naturally believe Commander Qin Ji's information, otherwise we would not be able to explain some of the newly emerged Siren humanoid elite units, the Soviet alliance said, but according to what the company said before, there are currently 2 or more Siren humanoid elite units in the Atlantic Ocean. There are more than one arbiter, so the chance of our success in executing this raid is very small. But you have no choice, do you? Qin Ji looked at the Soviet Union. Unless you are willing to move all coastal cities inland and turn all your commanders and ship girls into armies, the ocean cannot be given up. Tisk, Commander Qin Ji's words are really sharp, but as you said, we have no other choice now. Apart from staying at the defense line and slowly waiting for death, the only thing left is to fight desperately. Young King George V smiled. Free Iris has staked everything for this battle. We have to win this battle, and we must win, otherwise we ship girls will become history, and the sea will never belong to us again, Richelieu said while looking at everyone. We, the Sardinian Empire, are also willing to make due contributions to this, for this ocean we live on, for this land we live on, and for the glory of the Sardinian Empire to shine in the sea area among them, Veneto said impassionedly. I believe in your determination, but now there is a problem before us, that is, if we act collectively, there must be a leader. Otherwise, if we cannot accurately convey orders, then we will still be scattered, the Soviet Union said. So, how did your camps decide? Everyone's eyes froze, and it turned out that the reason why the Soviet Union said things like that was entirely to pave the way for this point. Now everyone has no choice but to choose a leader or accept the fate of being banished by the Sirens. For a moment, no one spoke anymore, and everyone's eyes wandered, trying to see the slightest idea or flaw in the other person's expression or eyes. But at this moment, the impatient Ruhi would not let the venue become silent like this. She said, "At this point, are you still keeping silent about who will lead? Then let me, a supporter, give me some advice. I recommend Commander Qin as the leader of this operation. The reason is that except for Commander Qin Ji, none of you have any experience fighting the Siren Arbiter, and you also have no experience fighting in the waters of the Siren Stronghold. Moreover, Commander Qin Ji was the one that Ember dealt with the most after the foreign aid. In order to ensure victory, I think this is the best choice." As soon as Ruhi said this, all the ship girls looked at Qin Ji, but they only saw Qin Ji. After hearing this, he didn't show any expression. Instead, he sat upright and closed his eyes, as if it's like falling asleep. But the people here are all very smart people. They naturally know that Brother Qin is not able to speak now, so they chose to remain silent. Otherwise, it will be like using one's power to oppress others, and the name will not be justified. I think that although Ruhi's words have some truth, they are still a bit one-sided, Bismarck said. The sea area where Commander Qin Ji fights is the Pacific Ocean, and that is his home field. But now the area we are in is the Atlantic Ocean, and the hydrology, landforms and other environments here are also the main factors that restrict war, so I think there are still a few more criteria for judging. Although Bismarck did not express his opposition, his words were full of such meaning. But at this moment, Ning Hai, who came with Qin Ji, also said, "The ship girls of Commander Qin Ji's fleet do not only fight in the Pacific. Don't forget that they were originally ship girls here in the Atlantic Ocean." But he was summoned by Commander Qin Ji in Donghuang. So I think the leader this time is none other than Commander Qin Ji. Or do you think you can lead us and defeat those arbiters? Do you know what those represent? My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Mu. Chapter 701. Hearing Ning Hai say such words, the company's brows furrowed. She was the one who had seen the image data, and the arbiter had been emphasized countless times in Qin Ji's mouth. Looking at the increasingly deadlocked venue, Enterprise remembered what York City had said to her when she came. Commander Qin Ji is a commander with ideals, and he is a commander who can truly realize the existence of as a lane. When our communication links with Donghuang and Chongying were cut off, Commander Qin Ji didn't have to take any risks here, but he still came. Therefore, we Beiying should not say anything against him at this time, but we should support him. The world is gradually changing, and I believe Sheik Hung and Kaga must have seen further than we do. The future structure may change because of this war, because the times will create some great people, and Commander Qin Ji is a person born for this era. Thinking of this, the company spoke to several camps. Beiying supports Commander Qin Ji to become the leader this time, not only because he is stronger than everyone here, but also because he represents the future. It represents hope. You White Eagles, as soon as Bismarck opened his mouth, Enterprise shook his head. We at White Eagle have considered very clearly that the world has changed now, so the previous structure of the world should change accordingly. To be honest, in the past, our various camps were basically in harmony with each other, and even if we had meetings together, we would always be at odds with each other. To put it bluntly, as a lane, in our eyes, is more like a self-deceptive slogan than an alliance. When the company said this, he sighed and then looked at Qin Ji and said, Commander Qin Ji could have chosen to cultivate his vitality after rescuing Donghuang and Chongying, but he didn't. He has always practiced his role as a lane. The promise made by the commander. With this belief, with this yearning. What kind of spirit is it to set off from the distant western Pacific and cross the entire Pacific to the Atlantic Ocean? None of you here are easily moved, but I just want to ask, if other camps encounter such difficulties, are you willing to use your camp's power to help? What's more, strength determines everything on the battlefield. The number of awakened ship girls in Commander Qin Ji's fleet has exceeded 40. And counting Chongying and Donghuang standing next to him, their total number has reached more than 60 and almost 70 awakened ship girls. This is an absolute advantage for our major camps. I believe some people will say that his awakening ship girls did not wake up for a long time and are not as powerful as us awakened ship girls. But don't forget, there are no sea legends in our camp. Although I am not sure about the future of this world, Commander Qin Ji is definitely standing above us at this moment, not to mention that he has fought with the arbitration before. Enterprise stopped here, and what she wanted to express was very clear. Seeing this, King George V couldn't help but smile and said, since White Eagle has expressed its stance, the royal family should also state our stance. Our royal family has no intention of competing for the fleet leader. For us, the most important thing is to be able to successfully exterminate the Siren Tide. So the current situation is very obvious. Commander Qin Ji not only has experience fighting the Siren Arbiter, but also has a strong fleet, and has a good connection with those embers. These are all necessary keys for us to win this battle, so our royal family decided to support Commander Qin Ji's leadership in planning this operation. After King George V finished speaking, Qin Ji opened his eyes unexpectedly and looked at King George V. Haha, don't be surprised, Commander Chin Ge King George V smiled and said, "For how and whales to praise you so much, I know your strength and that you can solve the problems in your area so quickly. Siren Stronghold, and helping Chongying and Dong Huang solve the corresponding Siren Stronghold can explain everything. I believe you can lead us to victory in this war, and your previous reminders have reduced our royal losses a lot." Chin Ge smiled and nodded, "Thank you very much, King George V, for your trust. There are currently 4 camps that have agreed, and these 4 camps already represent the vast majority of our team's strength, so do you camps have any other opinions?" The company looked at Bismarck and the others and said. Bismarck did not speak, but Richelieu, who was sitting not far from her, did. "We at Free Iris have no intention of competing for the command this time, so we abstained. But if someone becomes the commander of this team, we at Free Iris will definitely follow him and become his most reliable partner." Everyone present was not too surprised by Richelieu's choice, because they knew Liberty Iris relatively well. "In that case, there is nothing more to say." Bismarck looked at Chin Ge. "Commander Chin Ge will be the commander-in-chief of this battle. I also want to see another commander who I highly respect." Official. Bismarck still had a lot of information about Chin Ge. The information brought back by Gneisenau, Scharnhorst and others also allowed her to make this decision here. "Then now that the commander has been selected, let's formulate a battle plan. There is not much time to waste." The Soviet Union smiled. "It's a little strange that your Northern Alliance has not made any statement this time," King George V said. The Soviet Union explained, "Chin Ge's ideals and aspirations are consistent with our Northern Alliance, so they are comrades to us. That being the case, what is there to argue with? For a comrade with the same ambition to command this battle, our Northern Alliance is willing to fight side by side with him and go all out." "What about the Sardinian Empire and the Vichy Holy See? Do you have any doubts about this decision?" the company asked. "You have all said so, so I naturally have no doubts. Besides, the number of people brought out by our Sardinian Empire this time is very limited, and this is the amount of support we can provide. Although we want the power of the Sardinian Empire to spread throughout the sea area, our camp is currently the top priority. We, the Sardinian Empire, have withdrawn from the command and other matters." Veneto said. "The same goes for the Vichy Holy See. Now is a critical time. It would be best if we could unite as one, but at the very least we cannot have other disputes, so we also withdraw," Jean Bart said. "Okay, all the major camps have expressed their opinions, so Commander Chin Ge will be the commander of this action plan," the company said. "Now let's move on to the next topic, the arrangement of this action. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Mu. Chapter 702. Concerning this point, I think it would be better for Commander Chin Ge to explain it, Enterprise said. No problem, let Commander Chin Ge speak first. If there are any questions, we will raise them and then work together to come up with a practical implementation plan. Bismarck nodded. Chin Ge stood up at this time and said to the leader of the ship girl who was sitting, "First of all, thank you very much for your trust and letting me be the commander of this operation. Furthermore, regarding this battle, to be honest, I actually don't have much confidence in my heart. Because this battle is full of uncertainty, the strength of the arbiter we have to face is far beyond our imagination." Commander Chin Ge, although the company has just talked about the differences between the arbiters and the testers we usually see, you have fought with them. Do you have any basic information about their abilities? Bismarck asked. Of course, only by knowing yourself and the enemy can you win every battle. I naturally know a little about the enemy's situation, and I also learned this information from Yu Yan's mouth, which can ensure the authenticity of the information, Chin Ge said to everyone. The company has just told you that the code name of the Arbiter is consistent with the Major Arcana card, and the name of the agent they summon is also related to the corresponding Arbiter, which is the corresponding Major Arcana card. Interpret one of the upright and reversed meanings. Moreover, the Arbiter is the most powerful siren we have encountered so far. When multiple Arbiters act together, they can attack with a joint mechanism, producing the effect of 1 + 1 greater than 2. There are currently 3 Arbiters appearing in this world, and these 3 Arbiters are Strincus, who corresponds to strength, Hermit, who corresponds to the Hermit, and Tempalis, who corresponds to temperance. Qin-Ji's words aroused the interest of all the ship girl leaders. They were very eager to understand the characteristics of unknown enemies. In order to enhance a more detailed interpretation, Qin-Ji looked at Belfast behind him and nodded. Belfast instantly understood what Qin-Ji meant, walked to the projector and projected several images on the table. This is the Arbiter. Looking at the image projected on the table, the leaders of several camps couldn't help but exclaimed. That's right, Qin-Ji nodded, these are the 3 Arbiters I just mentioned, so that you can have a clearer understanding. Next, I will describe the specific characteristics of each of them. The first is the Arbiter Strenkus on the far left. This is also the Arbiter we fought in the waters of the Donghuang Siren Stronghold. Her ship type should be a heavy cruiser, but you must not mistake her for an ordinary heavy cruiser. Her special ability is gravity control, which allows her to develop a gravity field on the water's surface, affecting enemy movement and weapon range. And its gravity field can destroy all cannonballs approaching her. Within a certain projection range, it is difficult to use cannonballs to harm her. The one in the middle is the Arbiter Hermit, whose ship type is a battleship. We have met her in the waters near Guam before. She is the first Arbiter we have seen. Just relying on her own breath can make many of us awakened ship girls lose the ability to move in a short period of time. Her abilities are very similar to those of the Builder, but unlike the micro-layered mixture produced by the Builder, her special ability is the hidden sea mist, which is more annoying than the micro-layered mixture. It can release fog on the sea surface, slowing down the fleet's sailing speed and reducing the fleet's hit rate. It also exudes cyan flames all over its body, and can use these flames to attack targets. It is a very difficult enemy. On the far right is the Arbiter Templars. The ship type is a light cruiser and it is also the second Arbiter we have seen. According to Helena from another world, her special ability is electromagnetic interference. She can interfere with our ship equipment through electromagnetic interference and render our ship equipment useless. Moreover, she can conceal the agent and the siren fleet through electromagnetism, so that our naked eyes and radar cannot detect the location of the enemy at all. In other words, it is very likely that after we enter the Siren Sea area, we will not be able to see any enemies with the naked eye and cannot be detected by radar. However, when vigilance is weak, a large fleet composed of a fleet of agents and a high-level siren fleet may suddenly appear in front of them. This is the specific information about the 3 Arbiters currently appearing in this world. Although it is relatively limited, it can also let you know their strength. According to our current intelligence analysis, it is confirmed that there are traces of Hermit, Tempalis, and Strincus in the Atlantic waters, but we have not tracked them. But there is a high probability that they will meet up with them, so we say that there are at least 2 Arbiters in the Atlantic Ocean. After listening to Qin-Ji's story, several camp leaders had different expressions on their faces. There is surprise, prayer, thinking, and fighting spirit. This kind of information is already very detailed. In the past battles with unknown sirens, we sometimes only knew the appearance of the other party but knew nothing about their characteristics, Enterprise said to Qin-Ji. That's right, it seems that Helena really told Commander Qin-Ji in great detail, including the characteristics of the ship type and its special abilities. This is already the most detailed information that can be obtained before they have ever fought against each other. King George V nodded and said. But as Commander Qin-Ji said, the Arbiters can carry out coordinated attacks, So we have to prepare for the worst, Bismarck said. In a situation full of sea fog, the hit rate of the main gun, what kind of counterattack can we do when the ship's equipment is reduced, its trajectory is uncontrolled, and it is also electromagnetic interfered with, causing the ship's equipment to fail? It's very simple. If you can't make any effective resistance, you will even become a fish on the chopping board and be slaughtered by others, said the Soviet Union. The views of the Soviet Union were recognized by everyone. As Bismarck said, basically no one present could effectively resist under such circumstances. Then Commander Chin Ji, do you have any effective method here? Richelieu asked. Chin Ji looked at everyone and said seriously, my only option is to wait. Before coming to White Eagle, Yi Yan and the others are temporarily separated from our fleet, because the three of them alone cannot defeat these arbiters under guaranteed circumstances. They are preparing to search the Atlantic Ocean for the Ember ship that came to this world like them. So before they show up, we can only operate at the edge of the Siren Sea area and carry out local strikes with long-range firepower. Prioritize the settlement of the outer Siren strongholds to reduce the pressure on each camp, and avoid direct contact with the arbiter. Maybe this is the only thing we can do now. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Mu. Chapter 703. Deep in the Atlantic Ocean, within a Siren stronghold. Helena sat on the console, looked at the screen in front of her, and said to Phi Long beside her, Commander Chin Ji has set off, and we can take action. Understood. Phi Long lowered his arms and looked at the figures in front of him and said, after this operation is completed, we will most likely enter Chin Ji's port area, so you should think carefully and don't change your mind temporarily, otherwise the scene will be very ugly then. You don't have to look at me. I had already thought about it when I decided to participate in this plan, Nizanov said with a smile. How wonderful it is to be able to fight side by side with Bismarck's people and watch her grow. One thing. Same for me. I was going to appear in the waters of Guam, but you stopped me, otherwise I would be surrounded by many destroyer sisters now, a chic beauty said, although her words were not very good. Chic and unrestrained, but somewhat slutty. Phi Long frowned, Ark Royal, although I don't want to comment too much on your hobbies, but after going to Commander Chin Ji's port area, I still hope you will restrain yourself. I don't want our Ember's reputation to plummet with you. Ahem, don't worry, Royal Ark coughed and said solemnly. Yes, Phi Long nodded, then looked at the figure beside the Royal Ark, Scharnhorst, what about you? As long as he meets the criteria of a good commander, then I don't care, Scharnhorst said. This is something I can confirm after spending such a long time together, Phi Long said, he is a responsible commander. There are certain risks in the Watcher plan, but he has avoided those risks. We have been walking according to the calculation of our optimal solution. In this case, I think we will get along very happily in the future. But my personality is more direct, and you know this, Scharnhorst said. Phi Long did not answer. These things can only be understood slowly when we get along with each other in the future. Others say it is useless. What about you, Fuzang? Phi Long said, looking at Fuzang in front of him. As the watchman who will guide us in the future, I am willing to pray for him. It would be an honor for me to be by his side and witness his growth, Fuzang replied. Phi Long nodded and looked at the figure beside Fuzu, Yamashiro. It's best to pay attention to your words and deeds. You and Kang Long are the same. They went berserk because the Rubik's Cube was too activated before. Now they have been stabilized by that adult. Appear. But you still have some irritable personality left, so I don't want to cause Commander Chin Ji to be in trouble because of your personality. Phi Long is very concerned about that, Commander. Are you also interested? Yamashiro said with a smile. Heart moving, Phi Long shook his head. This is just a soldier's respect for the commander, and he has proven that he is an excellent commander. Really, Yamashiro said with a smile, but I still feel that it is not enough. Far from enough. You must know that what we will face in the future is the sea of stars, which is not as stable as this world. But don't worry, I will train him well and make him a truly excellent commander. Hearing Shan Chen's words, Fi Long nodded, and then looked at Kang Long beside Shan Cheng. Don't worry, I will control my Rubik's Cube and keep an eye on him. This is a rare opportunity, and we can fight side by side again, Fi Long Kang Long said. Yeah, Fi Long nodded, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. Then, Fi Long looked at the figure next to Kang Long. Memphis, what about you? It has been decided. There is nothing to say. After all, this is what we are here for. There are no regrets now. Being able to fight for our future is what I look forward to, Memphis said. Then let's arrange it this way, Fi Long said, and looked at Enterprise standing on the other side. Do you have anything else to say? Enterprise shook his head. No. Just take action. This is the beginning of everything, and it's also when the embers really burn. Whether it can turn into a flame or not, it all depends on you. Understood. Everyone nodded and then disappeared into the Siren stronghold. At this time, there was only one Enterprise left in the Siren stronghold. She looked at the place where everyone was standing before, and for the first time, hope appeared in her eyes. A disembodied voice came from behind the company. I haven't seen you show such an expression for a long time. How long has it been? Is there anything you can't remember? Zero. Enterprise turned around and saw that Observer Zero was behind her, looking at her quietly. Although I can contact Laplace Demon directly, even Laplace Demon cannot calculate how many time singularities you have traveled through. However, I guess the Creator would be very pleased if he saw you like this. Observer Zero said. The company did not answer, but turned directly to look at the place where everyone just left. After a long time, she spoke slowly. Since I was first born in that world, she has been teaching me how humans behave. She told me that even as a ship, you can have dreams. Later, even in such a dangerous situation, she was always full of hope for me. I decided at that moment that I couldn't live up to her presence. Actually, there is one thing I have not told you, that is, the Creator and Judge have been resurrected, Observer Zero said. What? At this moment, the company couldn't control its emotions and turned directly to look at the Observer Zero in front of it. This is a fact, don't forget, that adult controls the equation of life, and no life that has survived in that world can escape his grasp. But the reason why I don't tell you is because the adult felt that the world could not repeat the same mistakes again, so the two of them made some adjustments to their memories. They don't remember anything about what happened after the Rubik's Cube appeared, including you and us. They are now just two top scholars, making their own efforts to restore the original world. Observer Zero said. Enterprise's eyes softened. It's better not to remember. I don't want them to go through something like that again. Then can I go see them? Okay, but in what capacity will you go? A warrior of Ember? A representative of the ship? Or a created child? Observer Zero asked. Enterprise hesitated for a moment, then raised his hands. I don't know, maybe this is a luxury wish. I don't know if I am qualified to stand by their side again. That adult knew you would hesitate, so he left a message for you. What words? As friends.